Warning.
Welcome everybody to this episode of Our Top 5. I'm your host, Jason. That's Alice, and with me, as always, the man with the best laugh on the internet today, Lee.
What's up, Jason? What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. He's still quiet, but anyway, Lee, I was going to ask you, what if fast cars, more explosions than all the Expendables movies put together, and a very popular R&B artist have in common with our list tonight?
I don't know.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Anyway, you want to tell them what our list is about tonight?
Yes, my friend. Guys, we are excited to bring you another episode of Top 5. And tonight, our episode is going to be listing our top 5 vampire movies of all time. Now, guys, this is going to be our top 5. I'm sure you guys might not agree or you might disagree on whatever we are saying. By all means, comment on the field. Let us know. We can't wait to hear what your thoughts are. But these are movies that we've hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah, definitely. And take a moment real quick to click that like and subscribe button. Keep up to date with all of our episodes and what's coming up in the near future.
Indeed, man. Jason, I don't know about you, man, but this was a little bit tougher, of a list to put together. There's been so many vampire movies throughout the years, that are really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stand out. The werewolf was good, a little tough because there's been very few werewolf movies that stand out and shine, or like we talked about in the last episode, that really are maybe even the stars of their own film. Mm-hmm. Vampires, man, they've had some tremendous runs throughout the years in cinema.
Well, another thing that I noticed out of a lot of them, there's romance in just about all of them. There's some kind of connection going on, and there's always a little bit of a love story. So it's not enough to get my wife to watch them with me, but to me, it's like, a little bit of drama going on here, a little romantic drama going on. But
that's a very good point. You're absolutely right. There is usually some girl and then or guy, what I mean, or guy in some depending on the film. But there's some human guy or girl or something like that is torn between usually the vampire or the human lead. There's always some plug and pull and push or what have you for that. So between them, but yeah, you're always right. There's always some type of triangle in most films. Some not, but in a lot of them there are.
Yeah, and it's a great subject too, or a good storyline, because you're talking about over 100 years of movies now. All the way back from the original, starting in what was one of them was 1914 or something like that.
Is that Nosferatu?
Yeah, that was like
that was the very first vampire.
Yeah, which he wanted to do the Bram Stoker story from it, but he couldn't get the rights to it, so he totally ripped that off. And it's a great silent movie. Definitely a recommendation, but it really is a ripoff from Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's still good.
Yeah, still good. Indeed, man. Indeed.
You want to start? Right, you want me to start?
I'll kick it off.
All right.
I'll kick it off. I'll start kick them off here. My number 5, man. Yeah. My number 5 is a movie that a lot of these movies, man, I'm going through the top 5 list and I'm putting them together. I realized this one I saw when I was young, and it just stuck with me, and it just remained one of my favorite movies, really, of all time. We go looking back at it, maybe it's not the best put together cinematically, but it just holds a great place in my heart and for a lot of other people's hearts that came out in the 80s as well. I'm talking about The Lost Boys.
Mike? Michael, you there? Nanook? Michael? Mike, what happened?
Nanook.
What about Nanook? What'd you do to my dog, you asshole?
Nothing. I didn't hurt him. He bit me. This is my blood.
Why'd he bite you, Mike? Huh? What would you do to him?
I was protecting you.
Your reflection in the mirror Creature of the night, Michael. Just like out of a comic book. You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy. Sammy, wait. Sam! Stay back. Just wait and let me talk.
That's my number 5 film, man. You know, just like you said, there's always some type of love triangle. We've got Star, played by Jamie Gertz, David, played by Kiefer Sutherland, and then Michael, Jason Patric. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Michael, and then his brother, played by Corey Haim. They move to town, and he sees old Star at a oh my gosh, amusement park or some type of carnival or something, and that's when it all begins. You know what I mean? But no, it's a great film. It's got a lot of great classic actors from the 80s. I've just mentioned a few of them: Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, Jamie Gertz, Corey Haim, and Corey Feldman, of course. You know, one of the many films that they did together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's directed by Joel Schumacher, came out in 1987. It's just a good movie, man. I enjoy it. I still, if I come across it now, I will actually still watch it.
Yeah, it's a great.
I watched it at the right time, I think, you know, as a young teenager or whatever, and it just stuck with me. It was a great movie. I really enjoy it.
Well, and some of the best one-liners there's ever been in any kind of movie, and some of them you still hear people using today. You know, it's really, really a great movie, man. I like that one. That's a good choice, man. I like it a lot.
Even had old Alex Winter, who went on to be Bill and Ted.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
he was one of the vampires. I don't think he said anything, but he was part of the crew. You know, he was part of David's crew.
He might have had one line somewhere in there, but I don't remember it. But you know, a lot of like we've talked about before, Kevin Bacon, Johnny Depp. A lot of people get their starts in horror movies.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's just a good flick. I can't wait to watch it with my son. Actually, we were talking about vampire movies when I was putting this list together, and I was like, you know what, that's a great movie to watch with him.
And it's a not a bad one that you know you could watch them, you know, as they get into early teenage years or so. That's it's not a lot of gore and a little bit of blood flow, but it's you know, not a lot of nudity that you see in some of them, and which to me is always when you're watching it with your kid and all of a sudden there's nudity. For me, that's always weird. Just like, I remember when I was young and I would, you know, we'd go out and rent them from wherever and get the tape home and watch it. And it's a good movie. And my mom was sitting right there. And then like all of a sudden some girl's taking her top off or something. And I'm like, this is awkward. This is weird.
Awkward. Yeah, for sure.
I'll watch this tomorrow by myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the tape's messed up. I'll see if I can fix this later.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh man. No. Well, cool, man. Well, what do you got going on for your number 5? What's kicking off your list?
My number 5 is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, great choice.
1992, and I think it really is the Dracula movie. Maybe to me not the vampire movie, but the Dracula movie of all Dracula movies. And we got Gary Oldman in it, who plays Dracula and does a great job because he does the young Dracula, he does middle-aged, he does old Dracula, and does a great job in that. And that's one of the first movies I actually saw him in was that movie. And he's great in it. Winona Ryder was Mina. You had Keanu Reeves, Jonathan Harker, and Anthony Hopkins, Abraham Van Helsing. He did a great job. Keanu Reeves, that was his step away from Bill and Ted, I guess.
Yep.
And it was one of the first movies that put him in a serious role too, which he's done really well for himself now. You know, at first it was just all comedy stuff, and then he started getting into more serious roles, the action roles, and you know, I love John Wick, and he still did the romantic comedy stuff, but you know, I won't down him for that. But it's a great one, a great story about it. Like we touched on Nosferatu earlier, and this was Bram Stoker's vision of Dracula. And I love that you can still go and see the castle where he supposedly stayed at when he was over there in Romania, now Romania. That was supposedly and it's a, you know, based on a true story, you know, loosely based on a true story, but it's, you know, when you put history in with a movie and a little bit of a twist, and there are so many people today that believe that Dracula was this way in this movie back then, or maybe even now.
Yeah.
You never know. But a real good one. He did turn into a dog at one point. He turned into some werewolf-like creature, and had a huge sex scene with Mina's best friend Lucy out on top of a grave or something. But you know, good scene, by the way. But it had just enough gore in it for me to really enjoy, which wasn't a lot, but enough bloodshed. I really liked it, man. I liked it. One thing I don't understand is why Keanu Reeves, Jonathan Harker character, was so upset when he was being held captor. You know, I mean, Dracula left him with 3 of his wives in there, man, and you know he wasn't married yet. Live it up, man. That's like your bachelor party, dude.
Right?
Have fun.
No, very good points, my friend. Very good points. It's like, yeah, come on, man, just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, just because they climb up walls and you know want to drink your blood, and you come back and your hair is completely gray. Right. That just means you had a good time, man.
That's all it was. He just partied down a little too much.
Yeah.
Had a little too much too fast. But
yeah.
No, very good choice. You said something actually that I was gonna say when you mentioned it. This is the first movie that I recall seeing Gary Oldman in as well. I'm sure he's been around, but I mean that's the first movie that brought him to my attention. And I don't know what it was. I was gonna mention this too for the people who might watch this from Culpeper. I don't know, but I saw 2 vampire movies at the State Theater. One was Lost Boys and one was Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't know what it was, but yeah, so I definitely watched both of those movies there in that theater on Main Street. But no, fantastic choice, man. It had a fantastic cast, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Great actors and all that stuff. So Francis Ford Coppola, awesome director.
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like
great choice.
Thanks, man.
My number 4 movie is one that I mentioned last week, actually. It's Fright Night.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's my number 4.
Is it really?
Yeah, man.
Is it the classic or is it the remake?
Dude, that shouldn't even ask that. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because mine's the remake. No, I'm just joking. Mine's the classic. No.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
Fright Night. Another movie from when I was young. Saw it, enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Chris Sarandon did a fantastic job as the vampire. I mean, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, sisters as well. I mean, he did an awesome job as the vampire. Charlie Brewster, you know, I mean, Peter Vincent, played by the great Roddy McDowall. I mean, it was just another movie. It's unintentional, but another movie that had comical aspects to it.
Yeah. Well,
you know
I'm just going to
I mean?
say that if Charlie Brewster had not been a peeping Tom, none of this would have ever happened. Am I wrong?
You are absolutely correct. Talking about movie nudity. I mean, that's one of the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when he was peeping out there and he saw that, nothing would have happened. You know what I mean? He would have lived next door to that neighbor who seemed like a nice guy. He was just trying to have, he wasn't trying to hurt anybody else. He wasn't going to hurt them. He was just trying to eat, you know what I mean? And survive. That's all he was trying to do.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was just a lot of great things about that movie. You know, nobody believes him. He's running around. His own mother doesn't believe him. The guy, the vampire's in his house. Just so many great vampire scenes. I remember, like, when he was the bat at the end, the special effects for that I thought were awesome. The huge bat that was running around when he got stabbed in the hand at one point
with the pencil.
I think that was when he was in the room.
That was one of the creepiest scenes, dude, with the whole hand thing, with how long his fingers were. There was like an extra joint of finger on each hand. And it was great because he had the pencil in there, he pulled it out, and then you could kind of see it healing. And he had turned into like the older looking vampire, and then he just like comes back around. And there were so many girls, my sister included, that had a crush on Jerry Dandridge, on Chris Sarandon. I was like, really? And but yeah, I guess he was a pretty handsome, probably more handsome than Gary Oldman was as a vampire. But No, that's a great movie, man. And then they go and get Peter Vincent, who's like a washed up TV host with, you know, he says,
preacher type thing.
yeah, and he nobody wants to watch those old classic movies anymore. So I think he lost his job, didn't he? He just lost it or whatever. And
yes, he had.
And they go to get him, and of course he's trying to. They finally talk him into it with a little bit of cash to come in, you know, before Charlie. You know, they're his friends, Evil Ed, and his girlfriend. It was
Amanda
Amy.
Burse was her.
Yeah, played Amy Peterson, I think, in the movie.
Amanda Burse is the actress.
Yeah, which people probably know from Married with Children. Yeah.
Yep.
The neighbor, but yeah, they who played Peter. Roddy McDowell played Peter Vincent. And you know,
great
when he goes,
McDowell, man, he's a great classic actor, which was fantastic. He did a lot of those old horror films, the Hammer horror films and stuff from the 70s and 60s. So to be able to bring that actor back, who was kind of playing a portrait of himself, you know what I mean, in a weird way of his real self. Great inspired casting. And he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and doing the test, he didn't have holy water; it was just regular tap water. And so it didn't affect the vampire when he drank it. It didn't affect Jerry Dandridge at all. And but then he found out by just the piece of mirror that it was. But yeah, that probably the best vampire dance scene since Love at First Bite. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
movie? Yeah.
George Hamilton.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the tannest man in the world.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a great movie, man. It's cool that we both had it for number 4.
It is. And you know, this movie kicked off a lot too. I mean, it inspired a lot of comic books.
Yeah.
They went on to continue the adventures of Charlie and Peter. You know, they went on and like on a crusade of killing vampires. The story continued on in a lot of comic books. There was a Fright Night 2 that actually came out where Peter Vincent's Jerry Dandridge's sister came to town.
Yeah.
And you know what? That actually wasn't a terrible movie.
It wasn't a bad sequel. No.
You know, it really wasn't. I was actually quite impressed with it, you know, because we've talked a lot about already how those horror movies kind of cash in on the name alone. But this one was a direct continuation. And it was really well done, I thought, you know.
Well, you can almost tell if it's a few years before the next one comes out. It's kind of like they're thinking about it. If they come out like the next year or something, usually it's going to bomb because they they didn't take time to write something out. But now let's touch base real quick on what was the one with Colin Farrell, 2011. What do you think of the remake?
I actually thought it wasn't a bad movie.
No, it wasn't
I didn't
bad.
think it was terrible. You know what I mean? I thought they took a lot of liberties with it. I expected more, which is great actually. It wasn't a straight continuation. You know, we didn't talk about the zombie friend or whatever he had that Jerry Dandridge had living with him. You know, I mean, so it was Colin Farrell. I think Colin Farrell did a great job as him. I liked the fact that Peter Vincent's character was played by Doctor Who. Oh gosh. He was I didn't watch Doctor Who, but it was an actor from Doctor Who played Peter Vincent's character, who's a really well-known actor. But anyway, I thought it was good. I actually thought it was good. I liked who they had playing Evil Ed which I thought was pretty cool. They had the what's his name from the Superbad movies.
Oh yeah,
McLovin.
Yeah,
McLovin from the Superbad movies played Superbad movie played Evil Ed's character in that. You know, it wasn't a bad movie.
No, I watched it to watch it. Yeah. I watched it to watch it, but it didn't compare to the original, man. When I was young, that was one of the movies that I watched a lot of. You know, when we didn't have cable where I lived, you couldn't get it out there at that time, so it was all, you know, like VHS or even beta.
Right.
But I watched that movie over and over and over again, and I loved it, man. It was one just to throw in and watch it anytime.
Yeah, you and me both. We must have been doing that. I had it on VHS as well. And definitely watched it a lot. I was burning that.
And if you only know, was Amanda Beers? What is that her name?
Yeah, Amanda Beers.
If you only know her from Married with Children, watch Fright Night if you haven't seen it yet, because she's hot, man. She's hot,
Yeah.
especially after she's over with Jerry Dandridge.
I know.
Yeah, until the end with the
yeah, she got a big mouth on that thing. I mean, it was one of the bigger vampire mouths I'd ever seen, dude.
That's pretty haunting. That was pretty scary. But yeah, good movie, some good jump scares. We touched base on the last episode, the werewolf episode, with transformations and Evil Ed's transformation into the werewolf. That was great, man. And it was more the transformation as when he's coming out of being a werewolf. And then like we touched base on an American Werewolf in London, the pain that you could see just from transforming. It was really good. They did really good on that.
Yeah, I agree. That's why look at us in sync, man. Number 4. Both of us number 4. All right, dude. Well, I guess moving on, man. I guess it's me now. back to me.
Yeah.
My number 3 movie is From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's an awesome one too.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater, not the State Theater though, but I saw it in the theater. Came out. It's directed by 2 directors actually, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. What I loved about it is that it's really 2 movies in one. It's kind of what Grindhouse, the movie that both Tarantino and Rodriguez did together years ago. It's a small, years later, but years ago from now. It's kind of a smaller version of that because it's 2 movies in one. As I said, starts off as a crime thriller. Tarantino directs out that whole first half when it's George Clooney and Tarantino. Actually, they're playing the brothers. Kind of they're on the run, trying to get to Mexico. They kidnap Harvey Keitel's family, he's like a preacher man, and he's got the 2 children, Juliette Lewis. No, wait, am I wrong about that? It's not
Juliette Lewis and another kid.
Oh, it is.
I can't remember.
Okay, it is Juliette Lewis. Okay, I was right. Okay, Juliette Lewis is the daughter of his, and it's another kid, like you said.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been in anything else. That's why I don't. And Juliette Lewis is Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, she's still been around and doing great actress, but until their whole point, they're on a crime spree. They're trying to get to Mexico. When they get to Mexico, the directors change. It goes to Robert Rodriguez, and then it became something totally different than what you've seen previously. It becomes an all-out onslaught of vampires. Salma Hayek is the queen of the vampires. It's all hell breaks loose after she comes out and does her little dance.
Bow your head, kneel, and worship the feet of Santanico Pandemonium.
Watching her, strolling in the night, so white, wondering why it's only after dawn. In her eyes, a distant firelight burns bright, wondering why it's only after dawn. Find myself in the room, feel the fever of my doom, falling through the floor, knocking on the devil's door. Yeah, burning bright in the flame. Now I know the secret way.
Very memorable dance.
Yes, very memorable dance.
Yeah.
That might have been one of her first movies too, besides Desperado, which she did with Rodriguez. I think this is one of her
another great
first,
movie.
Yeah. One of her very first movies. I would say one of the first 5 at least, you know what I mean, that she was doing.
Yeah.
But no, man, I really do. I love it. I think it's great. But when the vampire action kicks in, dude, it's all out war.
Non-stop action, man.
Yeah, and a lot of great actors from like the 70s. And actually, even the special effects, I think Tom Savini.
Tom Savini.
Yeah, he's one of the bar patrons Fred Williamson from
Yep.
the 70s,
Yeah.
just a lot of great, cool, cult favorite actors are in the film that are, they're in the bar when everything goes crazy. And the vampires, man, are just like, I mean,
I love the part where they're,
horrible.
they take out like the first wave of vampires and they think they've done good because there was a bunch of vampires inside there. I mean, they're at a strip club. So all the strippers, all the patrons, the bartender, which is
Yeah.
Danny Trejo, which
Yeah,
I
that's right, him
love
too,
him,
yep.
man. But all these people inside, the band, everybody was vampires, and they, it was only like a handful of them that took them out. It was probably
Cheech Marin.
maybe,
Don't
yeah,
forget Cheech Marin.
yeah,
Yep.
Cheech Marin, yeah, man. And I love his speech outside of the. We
Oh,
can't even
yeah.
talk about that,
I
but
know.
but they took out everybody. It was only 5 or 6 of them that survived inside. And they're standing there talking. It's like, well, it can't be vampires. Well, it is. You ever seen a vampire? They're like, no. He's like, well, and they're arguing about it. And they're like, what is that sound? And the guy's like, bats. And all you hear is like thousands of them coming now, man. And
Yep.
and the end of the movie, the way it goes off and it's showing like the pyramid, like almost like an old Aztec or Mayan pyramid from the back. And it's just
Bar
like,
was sitting on top of it. Yep.
yeah, great
Awesome
choice,
albums.
man. Great
Thank you,
choice.
my friend.
Did you watch the series any?
I was just about to ask you that same question. I know you beat me to it. Actually, I did not.
I
did
liked
not.
it.
Did you?
I liked it a lot. I really
It was
did. I
good.
liked it a lot. In the
I think it's on Netflix
series
now.
yeah, in the
Check it out.
series it's almost like Tarantino's character, not Seth, he played the other one. Shoot, I can't
He's the one
remember
who
what
got
it.
turned.
Yeah, it was almost like the vampires were leading him there for something, and in the series he doesn't die right then. He stays on as a vampire, and it's a couple of series or seasons to that, and I really enjoyed it. They played the whole movie out in the almost like the first season, like the first few episodes. It's like watching the movie with different actors that actually did a really good job, portraying the, Clooney and everybody else's character. They did a really good job of it. And, but then it keeps going from that point on. And I liked it, man. I liked the series a lot. I used to watch it all the time.
Watch it. I was totally aware of it when it came out. I think when it debuted, it was on some streaming channel that I didn't. Maybe it was YouTube TV or something. It was a different. I think it might have been on the same channel as Cobra Kai before Cobra Kai came over to Netflix.
Yeah,
so maybe that was
something
YouTube
like that.
TV or something. But whatever it was, I didn't have access to it.
Oh, it was
And
Lucha, Lucha something. I can't remember, Lucha TV or Lucha something. I can't remember now.
Gotcha. But no, I'm totally aware of it. So now that we're talking about it, I'll be watching it very soon.
Yeah,
Cool.
I highly recommend it, man. You'd like it.
Sweet. Well, cool, man.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's my number 3, buddy. What do you got going on?
My number 3 is going to be one that I guarantee you probably haven't seen before. And probably not many people have, and they probably won't get a chance to, because I actually, after thinking about putting it on the list, I said, I'm going to go back and watch it. This movie was so disturbing. It's a psychological, disturbing horror movie. And it was so bad that I've only watched this movie twice in my entire life. And I think I only made it through it. I watched it the first time about halfway through and couldn't do it. And then went back.
You couldn't watch it?
No, I was younger, but I mean, I was at least up in my later teens, and I could only watch about half of it. And then when I got in my early 20s, a couple of years ago, I
Yes.
I went, a couple of years ago, a couple decades ago. I went back and I watched the whole thing because I bought it on a VHS tape at a place that was going out of business. And I watched it the one time and I never watched it again after that.
The suspense is killing me, man. What is this movie? Yeah. I mean, if you can't even, if you've never been able to finish it,
you can't find this on any streaming anywhere. I looked so hard over the past few days. Nowhere on Prime, nowhere on Netflix. Of course, they don't really show any good horror movies. Nowhere, nobody had it. This is a 1977 movie. It was written and directed by George A. Romero. It's his first and only attempt at a vampire movie, and it's simply called Martin.
I know the film.
And
I've never
dude, it's this movie, John Amplas is the character. He plays Martin, and I don't know if he's ever been in anything else. I'm not sure. George A. Romero actually played a role as Father, let's say Father Howard in it. But in this movie, Martin, the character Martin, is in his early to mid 20s. And he moves in with a much older cousin of his because he wants to get away from, you don't know if he's a vampire or just a serial killer. And either way, it's really disturbing what he's doing. He has flashbacks, he calls them, throughout the movie, or are they just crazy sick dreams in his head that he's having about it takes place in the 70s, like modern for that time that he's killing people, but he's flashing back to where it's in the early 1900s that he's killing people. And you don't know if he's like when he's talking to his cousin psychiatrist, or he might have even been a preacher or a priest, but which his cousin has told him. He said, hey, if I find out you are a vampire, I will kill you. And that's what Martin wanted. He wanted it to stop, but he couldn't stop. And the whole time you don't know if he's a serial killer, and you don't know if he's a vampire. You just don't know. In the sense of the meaning, it doesn't matter. He was a vampire because he was drinking the blood and he believed himself to be one, if you go by what people nowadays would say it is. But he even said that he had a better way to do it. Like he would stalk people, and it didn't matter if it was usually it was female, but it didn't matter. He killed men too. And he would take a needle and he put this stuff in it. And I don't remember what it was he put in it, but he would, stick them with the needle, and it just knocked them out, kind of paralyzed them. And then he would just take a razor blade, slit their wrist or their neck or whatever, and drink their blood until they died. And you don't know the whole time if he's, you're watching this movie because you think you're watching a vampire movie, or is he a serial killer? I don't know. And even in the end, do you really find out? No.
Interesting. Again, I have to applaud you. I have not seen it, but I totally am aware of the film. I've read about the film. I
It's
should
sick,
be able to
dude.
guess what you were saying. But no, great choice, Jason. Obviously, it's something that I'm gonna have to go back and try to really find now and check this movie out. Well, no, not if you even couldn't finish it. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, I take that back.
I'm sitting here, a lot of times after I give my review of a movie, I say I highly recommend you go watch this. But this one, I don't know if I would recommend people watching it, dude, because it's pretty disturbing.
Wow,
it's graphic, and it looks real, but it's just and man, I love my gore, dude, but this is a movie that is, if he's a serial killer, then it's very realistic, and I love realistic movies. But it really is disturbing, man. It is. But I loved it.
Yeah.
One time.
All right. One time. Loved it one time. One time only. All right. Well, dude, very cool choice, man. I'll make sure I don't see the movie based on the recommendation of seeing it, just or trying to see it. No, but no, awesome, very cool. And yeah, anything George Romero, I mean, obviously he's
that's why I watched it, because it was George A. Romero. I knew Night of the Living Dead, and then I said, well, let me check this one out. And
all right, there you go, guys. Number 3, Martin. All right, man. Well, let's move into the top 2. Top 2, Jason. I'll tell you what, Jason, if Blackula's not on your list with everything that's going on right now in this day and age, I'll be very disappointed with you.
Hey, man, you put me in a spot, man. No, I will say that I just watched Blackula, and what was it? Blackula Lives, or the second part to that too, not too awful long ago, man. And
did you really?
Yeah, and man, it's a classic movie, but damn, the acting is terrible, man. But I love it. I love his lamb chops coming down, man. You know what I mean? And he's cool, man. I watched it. I got no problem with it.
Well, very cool.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
thanks for putting me on the spot right after.
Well, no problem. I can't wait to hear your review of it here, number one. But no. All right, man. For me, man, moving on into number two. My number two is a movie that another movie that I will always stop and watch this movie. I love this movie. I think it is awesome. Based on a graphic novel, came out in 2007, directed by David Slade, 30 Days a Night. I love it, man.
Great movie.
Yes, I saw it in theater, opening weekend. I couldn't wait to see it, and it did not disappoint. And again, if it's ever on, if I ever catch it, I'm watching it. Premise is pretty simple. I mean, this there's a town in Alaska. As you guys, I think everybody knows, at some point during the season, there's 30 days of darkness. There's no daylight at all. And so what happens is these vampires get wind of this, and they decide to come to that town. And actually, the majority of the townsfolk actually leave town too while this happens. So it's already, still a lot of people there for them to come and kill and crush, but it's not usually packed as in full as it usually is.
Right.
So these guys come in, they cut all the communications, and they just really, the good thing about most vampire movies is that, if you can hang on, man, if you can hang on until dawn, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just got to hang on until the sun comes up.
Yeah.
Sun doesn't come up in this town.
30 days. Can you hang on for 30 days? And those were some pretty badass vampires, man.
Oh yeah. Yes, they were. It was, and the way they do it, they just come, and there's no like sneaking around. They just come.
And they're super strong. Yeah, they walk right down the middle. And one thing about that movie that I think made those vampires more terrifying is you couldn't understand what they were saying. They were speaking, what were they, Russian, German, or were they like Romanian
or something? Yeah, Romanian probably.
Yeah, but you couldn't understand them, and to me that made it even more terrifying, because it was just like, what are they saying? And the way they would just like, whatever. But that was a terrifying movie, dude. And who's the actor, the main actor guy?
Josh Hartnett.
Okay, yeah, he was in a bunch of good movies, man. I liked him.
Yeah, no, he was. He had a nice little run in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he went on, what is that show? It was on Showtime, or some about Hartness and vampires. I think he's on there now. I can't remember the name of it.
Not like True Blood or something like that.
No, not True Blood. That was HBO. It was some other show some other popular show. I didn't watch it. It was on Showtime. But went on to star in that. But no, Josh Hartnett is the guy. That's in this film, that's starring in this film, and he does a great job. The movie just it from beginning to end, it never lets up. There's maybe like good 15 minutes of setup, where you get to know the relationships. So so it'll be much more horrible when the people start to die, and then it kind of gives you a little ties to the relationships with the townsfolk. But other than that, man, it's just like balls to the wall, just action and terror and mayhem.
That's a great vampire movie, dude. And that's, I don't have that on my list, but that was one that I remember I told you I switched one of them, and I switched Martin with that one.
Okay.
I had that at my number 3, and I switched it with Martin at the last minute, because Martin was just affected me so bad. But now, am I mistaken? But his ex-wife in that movie, she was the woman who was in The Crazies.
Yes, she was in The Crazies.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were the same.
The Crazies,
person.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was I'm pretty sure you're a great one too.
Correct about that.
And
that was.
Did you say Josh? What was his name?
Josh Hartnett.
Okay, and he was in
American Pie.
Was he in American? Was he in American Pie?
Yeah.
No,
Oh wait, no, he wasn't. I'm wrong about that. The Faculty.
Yeah, The Faculty, dude. Yeah, I love that movie, man. That was great.
Yes. That was another version of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I believe that was directed by Robert Rodriguez also.
Yeah. Yeah, and and The Hobbit was in that one too. Not The Hobbit.
Yes, he was. Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he was a
No,
hobbit.
Josh Hartnett was out of American Pie. You're right. That was actually The Faculty was the first movie I saw Josh Hartnett in.
Yeah, same here. And I liked his character in that one too. That's pretty much why I watched. Well, I mean, it was a vampire movie, so I was going to watch it anyway. But seeing him in it made it even better. And it was a great. I like the way it ended. It was sad, but it was also like, like good for you, man. But and I love the one part where I don't know what was that machine, the meat grinder or whatever.
Oh yeah, or wood shop or something was happening. There
Yeah.
was some plant processing plant or something. Yeah.
And they had the one vampire. The main one was bad enough, which that dude, he was in American Horror Story a couple seasons on that.
Coven. He was in Coven. That's when he first came on, and then he went on to star in a few more seasons. But he was Jessica Lange's boyfriend.
Yeah, love interest. But I liked him. But the one that really got me was the bald-headed dude, and he looked like the lead singer from the band Disturbed. That's who I think of every time I like to see that band. Now I'm like, you're a vampire, man. Oh wow. Yeah, he was scary, man. He was a tough one. That's a great movie, dude. Great movie.
Yeah, man. I love that movie. Yeah, and again, based on a graphic novel. But that's my number 2, man.
Awesome.
What do you have for yours, sir?
My number 2 is actually one that you've already said before, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Everybody be cool. You be cool.
Oh,
I love it, man.
Choice.
Well, you know me, I love Tarantino. Joe that I wrote that you're starring in. When people ask me what my movies are like or what I want them to be like, I want it to be kind of like a mixture between a Tarantino film and a Rob Zombie film. I want it mixed somewhere in the middle. I love Tarantino movies, always have. I like this one. I love the soundtrack that went along with it. When Salma Hayek does her dance to that After Dark by Tito and the Tarantulas, I love that song. It's one I loved it so much. I learned it on guitar. I don't like, play it for my wife while she's getting ready or anything. I won't forbid. Maybe I do, but
that right?
Yeah. But
she'll kill you when she sees this.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked that movie, and like you said, I can watch that movie over and over again, and it kind of was like 2 movies. And if you watch the series, you're going to find out how sick and twisted Tarantino's character really was. I mean, he was. It was hard for Clooney's character. I don't know who the actors are in the other movie, the whatever their names are, but Tarantino's character was really a sick and twisted person in the series. I know Clooney's character was Seth, and I can't remember what Tarantino's Richie was sick and demented, twisted guy, man. He was a rapist serial killer. And it was hard for Seth to keep him under control because you see a little bit of that in the movie where they first go in and they're kidnapping Harvey Keitel and his family. And, he's sitting there and he thinks Juliette Lewis says something to him. And he's like, yeah, sure, I would. I'm not going to say what he thinks she said to him. But anyway, of course, she never said that to him. And he has that a lot in the series where he thinks that women are actually like coming on to him or something. And he's just pretty sick and twisted. But anyway, back to the movie that we're reviewing instead of the series. I just loved it, man. I thought it was a great take on a vampire movie, man. And I really loved the beginning part, but I loved when they got to the titty twister. Yeah. I'll say that one time, the bar. When they got there and Cheech Marin being there and they're going there to meet the I guess to get some money from somebody to all this money, or they're giving him money or whatever it is to get a safe passage to Mexico to live, because Clooney's character just got out, escaped prison. But they the whole time going into the bar, the whole scene of it, everything that's going on, they did a great job with everything. The way that the vampires turned, they didn't just, teeth didn't just pop out. They were more like snake people, which you'll see more in the series, and that explains more in the series. But it was really awesome, man. I really liked that movie a lot. You know, the fight scenes in it, the band playing there, and he's up there playing a guitar. Next thing they show him again, he's playing like a stringed human being, like the torso of somebody. And Salma Hayek's dance. I gotta mention that again, and probably 2 more times before the show's over.
Oh man, well, no, you know how I feel about that choice. It was on my list, so bravo, my friend. That is a great flick, very good flick.
Thank you. Yeah, it was cool.
All right, man. Well, here we are at the numero uno, the number 1 spot.
I wonder what it could be.
I don't know. I guess I'll just show you my cards, buddy. It's actually for my number 1. It is a movie you actually already had. And I was a little, well, yeah, it's that far down this list. And I've got it on the top total opposite end. I'm talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula. I have that as my number 1. To me, Dracula is the vampire.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He just is the vampire. That's what I actually remember being a kid and kind of being somebody would talk about vampires. I'd be like, Dracula, you know?
Yeah. If you ask
like, somebody,
if you ask anybody, give me a vampire's name, they would say Dracula. Everybody would. Nobody's going to jump into the, Martin or Jerry Dandridge or something. They're going to say Dracula.
They might say Angel Man if they're a Buffy fan. Okay, they just might. No, no, but you're absolutely right. Dracula is synonymous with vampire. I mean, that's just it, right? But not only that, but it was probably, to me, of all of these fantastic movies on here, which I have on my list, and yours, I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula stands out because of just how well done it is. I mean, we're talking about Francis Ford Coppola, the group director of The Godfather, who threw all of his weight and time and put together this movie with fantastic actors. The acting, besides Keanu Reeves, is incredible. I love Keanu Reeves, guys. Don't get me wrong, but his accent goes in and out during the movie. It does.
Yeah, it does. Well, you can hear a little bit of Bill and Ted coming back out of him, and the surfer guy. I guess you could hear that. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But I know. But again, I love Keanu Reeves. I like all his movies, so I'm just had to make that a little.
Hey, don't talk bad about John Wick.
I know, right? Oh, definitely. I will never talk bad about John Wick.
I'll kill them all.
Yeah.
Never talk bad about John Wick. I saw what he did on his dog. I'm not gonna be talking bad about that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's not much more for me to say about this film. You said a lot of great things about it. But to me, it's just, I just, when I think of vampires, I think of Dracula, and this movie was a remake of my first introduction to vampires, which was the Bela Lugosi. I mean, we can't have a whole show about Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I actually saw that. You've heard me talk about my interest in horror was through the Creature feature. I remember that was one of my favorite movies, actually. The Bela Lugosi Dracula was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid growing up watching those black and white horror movies.
Did you ever dress up as Dracula?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I think everybody did, man. Yeah.
Yep. And for Halloween. But then this movie came out, like I said, I saw it opening weekend back in 1992. And it did let me down. The acting, the special effects, the cinematography, the sets, just everything was immaculate and incredible. Again, I don't want to keep harping on it. You said a lot of good things about it, but this had to be my number 1.
It was a long movie too. I'm glad it was, because they didn't. I don't think they can take a story like that and cut it up or chop it up and make a 80 or 90 minute film. They did a good job with that one. The special effects were on key. I love the scene where they know that Lucy's a vampire, and she's dead now. They buried her, but they go to make sure she's dead. They take the stake there. And when they go down, she's coming in, they're waiting for her to get back. And she's got that child in her arms. And, it's just like, daggone, man. And you don't know really what's going to happen, but they drive they finally get her, they kill her with the stake in the heart. And then Anthony Hopkins is like, got to chop her head off. And I was like, dude, gotta do what? I know you gotta do that. He's like this, or it's like they chopped the head off. I'm like, dang on. But I really, that's a romantic movie too. That's Dracula. I think when Bram Stoker wrote that, it was about a vampire, but it was a love story.
Yeah. Well, you said it in the very beginning, and you're absolutely right. If I'm going back and looking at my list here, I would say out of the four of them, it has that little love triangle of the human vampire and human, or who's trying to turn her into that. Lost Boys has it. Fright Night has it. We neglected to mention, but it definitely has that with Marcy, Charlie, and Jerry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, actually, only three of my list, I guess. So Lost Boys, Fright Night, and then of course Bram Stoker's Dracula. 5 had that little love triangle in there. But no, man. Anyway, all those reasons is why I like Bram Stoker.
I loved it, man. That's a great choice. I really did like it, and
not enough to be your number 5. I mean, you're number 1.
Sometimes for me, it's just making sure they're on the list, and right. I guess that'll. I'm gonna jump right into my number 1 because you've already had it on your list.
Oh.
And I'll look at that. I'll ask you that in a second. But for me, I put them on there, the ones that I like the best. But it really comes down to which one did you watch the most. And like number 2 for me had a great soundtrack. I love that song. And
say hello to the night. Is that your number 1?
My number 1 is the Lost Boys.
The right thing by calling us. Does your brother sleep a lot?
Yeah, all day.
Does the sunlight freak him out?
He wears sunglasses in the house.
Bad breath, long fingernails.
Yeah, his fingernails are all a bit longer. He always had bad breath though.
He's a vampire, all right.
All right, here's what you do. Get yourself a good sharp stake and drive it right through his heart.
I can't do that. He's my brother.
Okay, we'll come over and do it for you.
Oh!
You better get yourself a garlic t-shirt, buddy, or it's your funeral.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
I love the soundtrack, and I still listen to Cry Little Sister. They've had a couple of people that redid that song. Marilyn Manson even redid that song and did a good job on it. There's another band that I can't remember the name of them, but I mean, they're on my, I would never say my exercising tracks but on my just playlist, I guess you would call it. But I loved all of the songs. NXS was on, they did a song on that. The Doors, People Are Strange is on there, but by somebody else, and just so many great things. And you can't forget the guy on stage with no shirt, this big wrestling looking dude playing the saxophone. We look back and laugh now, but that dude was cool as hell, man, back in the day. Like, look at him up there, man. He's cool, man. He's got like the oil all over him, his hair slicked back, and I still believe. And then he's like blowing on the saxophone. Like, that dude's talented, man. No, right. I love Kiefer Sutherland, man. Of course, the two Coreys, man. I love it, man. That's a great movie. Love the soundtrack. Santa Carla is where it was. All I remember is when they're driving there and they're like, it's murder capital of the world. And and just crazy, man. I love the grandpa,
Oh yeah.
And like I say, there's so many great one-liners that are in it.
Daddy, you all right?
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
I don't think that movie disappointed me at all. I've watched it so many times, man. I love that you don't really know who the head vampire is. You kind of have an idea, but then it kind of gets shot down at one point.
Yep.
And they bring he brings up something in this movie, the same thing that happened in Fright Night, where a vampire can't enter your home unless they're invited. And like in Fright Night, Charlie comes downstairs. He already knows that his neighbor's a vampire. They know that he knows that he's a vampire. And he comes downstairs and there's Jerry Dandridge sitting in the chair. And, first thing that Jerry says is, your mom invited me in. the head of the house has to invite him in. So, and if you go back and watch the Lost Boys, you know, they're like, hey, you know, well, how did you pass all these tests that we did? Well, Mike was by Jason Paxton's character, when he's getting ready to leave, he's already having these problems with Kiefer Sutherland and the rest of the crew. You know, Max gets there to come in and he's ready coming over to dinner. And he said, well, I'm not coming in until I'm invited by the man of the house. And of course, Jason Patrick's character, Mike, says, you're invited. And he comes on in. And, you know, that comes up later in the movie. They're like, well, you passed all the tests. He's like, silly boy, don't ever invite a vampire into your home.
No. Yeah.
It was great, man. I loved it. I loved the way it started. I loved the middle. I loved the ending. I loved the soundtrack. And to me, you know, we were around the Corey's age at the time that came out. They were
Frog
comic
Brothers.
book the Frog Brothers. They, you know, had the comic book shop. I was into comics back at that time. You were probably into comics at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Still are.
Yeah.
That's no charge for that plug. But no, I thought it was great. I'll tell you, you saw it at the State Theater. I'm gonna tell you where I saw it the first time. I was probably 15. When did that movie come out? That was in 87.
87, yeah.
All right, so I was about 15 going on 16. A guy we went to school with, I was with him visiting his girlfriend's uncle in Orange, and her uncle lived in a trailer, and it had like this little awning hanging off the side of it, and he had a pretty good piece of land there. I guess he lived on a farm or something, but he lived in like a single wide trailer, and you would know it if you talked to the guy. But we were standing there, and he had this little TV sitting out on this little windowsill or something. And we were sitting on the picnic bench, and he turned on this movie. And so I guess it was maybe a year later because it was out on tape or whatever, VHS. Yeah. And I sat there, and that was the first time I watched it, man. I loved it from that point on. I went back and I bought the movie. Like, and that's
for like $400 back then.
Yeah, it was expensive, man.
Those VHS.
Yeah, it was expensive, dude. Yeah. But I loved it so much, and I watched it so many times over and over and over again, man. And I wanted to be Sam, Corey Haim's character, man. I just thought he was so cool, and he had on this real colorful trench coat. He wore crazy clothes, and I loved the Frog Brothers, man. They were awesome. And of course, I thought Jason Patrick's character was cool as hell too, man. But I really liked Corey Haim, and you know, we've talked about this before, the other movies that they did, him and Corey Feldman. Yeah. And I loved it, man. It was a great movie, dude. I just no complaints. I bought the cassette tape, and that was just as expensive as the VHS tape. I probably spent like $60 or $70 on the movie and the soundtrack, and listened to them over and over and over again, and still like the music.
Yeah, no, the soundtrack was great, and specifically those "Cry Little Sister" and what's the other one? I said it. "Sail Off to the Night."
Yeah.
Whatever, I can't remember the name of that one. That's how it goes. But those are the
Lost
two.
in the Shadows. I think that was that. Yeah, the Lost Boys, Lost in the Shadow. I think that was the actual soundtrack or title soundtrack song or whatever.
Yeah, those two songs stood out for me. But no, you know what's funny, man, is my number one was your number 5, and my number 5 was your number 1.
Yeah. Oh wait, mine was upside down. Wait a minute. No, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. No,
all great vampire movies, man.
They really are, man. This was, like we said in the very beginning, this one was a tough choice because there are so many fantastic ones out there. I will say, Jason, there is a movie that I bought a few years ago when it first came out on Blu-ray, and I have been dying to watch it. I have not watched it. It might have made my list if I had. It didn't make yours, so maybe it's not a good movie. Dracula Untold.
I don't think I've seen it. I saw Dracula 2000, which I thought was a decent movie. I think that's the one where they're trying to do the bank heist or something like that, or they're bringing Dracula's body back on the airplane or whatever. And
that's Dracula.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I haven't seen Dracula Untold, I don't believe.
It came out in 2014. That was the movie that was supposed to kick off the MonsterVerse, or not the monster. Not to be confused with the MonsterVerse with the Godzilla and King Kong, but
with Frankenstein and
with
Wolfman
Frankenstein and all those. That was initially supposed to be the one that kicked it off. That didn't kick everything off the way it was supposed to be. They tried to revamp it again, and they redid it with The Mummy with Tom Cruise. That was supposed to kick off the whole the whole.
What do you think of that?
I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was more.
It wasn't bad.
I mean,
my only problem, I kept thinking of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy Returns, and then after that, but I really liked Brendan Fraser doing The Mummy and stuff in the Mummy movies. I thought the first couple were really good. Third one, Scorpion King. I'm glad The Rock got his. That's where The Rock got started, really. But no, I'll tell you another movie that I almost picked. I am going to just look back at the other list that I had, like where I was just jotting stuff down. I liked Shadow of the Vampire. That's the one where they're trying to make the movie about Nosferatu.
And they with that, if I'm
no, he was Nosferatu in that one. And they go there and they say, well, we found this weird guy that lives up here in a cave and we're going to get him to be like, what the hell's wrong with y'all, man? This dude's living up in the cave and that's who you choose. And he's like super freaky. And, he already had like the little fangs and like, that's who you're going to base your movie on. But they said that whoever played the original character of that, this movie was almost like based on it was supposed to be filmed like a documentary type style of what really happened during that filming. And the guy was just super creepy. And man, I wish I could remember. I didn't go back and research the film, but it was great, man. That was a great movie. And another one I thought was really good was Vampires. That's got one of the Baldwin brothers and
Daniel Baldwin and James Woods.
Yeah, I thought that was a decent movie, man.
That's directed by John Carpenter.
Yes. Yep. John Carpenter's Vampires. Yep. I thought that was a decent movie, dude. I thought it was good. And what was the other one? Let the Right One In.
Oh, yes.
That was pretty cool.
I saw that too. That was good. That was a remake of
I like the remake.
European.
I've never seen the original one, but yeah, I like the remake, and that's got Chloe something that's been in a bunch of horror movies. She played Carrie one time and just a bunch of other stuff. But what's it, Chloe? Anyway, everybody would know who she is. If she's pretty popular.
She was in Kick-Ass. Is where she first got her, where I remember first seeing her. And of course, I just pulled up the
IMDb type.
Yeah, but I pulled up the, of course, I don't know what it is, but we know who she is. I can't think of the actress. We all know who we're talking about.
But she was really young in that movie, and I thought she did really good though.
No, she did. She was very young in that, and her name is, I can't find it. Oh, well, never mind, guys. We can't think of it. But anyway, she's a great actress.
Chloe.
She's a great actress. Yeah, her name. Yeah, she goes by just like Roseanne or Cher. That's what it is.
Jewel.
Yeah. Exactly. No, well, cool, guys. Well, listen, that's our top 5, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please tune in again, as we said before. Let us know, comment, let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know of any vampire movies that we didn't speak of that you guys, don't think we left off the list. Hit the subscribe button. Jason, as always, my friends, this has been a pleasure. Going through the top 5 movies with you, vampire movies.
I had a great time, man. I really, that is pretty wild that my 5 was your 1 and your 1 was, or your 5 was my 1, but yeah.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
I thought you were yelling at Alice there for me. Like, easy.
I was like, Alice. No. I would never yell at Alice or raise my voice at Alice.
I like that she can look at the screen and she's looking at me at the same time.
Oh yeah, she's got her eyes on you, man.
The whole time.
On you. Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks again for joining us. Tune in next week. We're gonna go through another top 5 list of ours. TBD, but tune in. We can't wait to tell you about it.
Yeah, man. Great show, Lee.
All right, guys. Jason, have a great evening.
You
Take
too.
care, everyone.